This week, the three main wilderness bosses, Vertion, Venenatis and Callisto, are being completely overhauled, along with some changes to the three main wilderness weapons, the Vigorous Chainmace, the Thammarant Scepter and the Crossbow. You're going to be able to upgrade each of the weapons with their own unique upgrades, which can be received as rare drops from the reworked bosses. There's also going to be a new melee weapon called the Void Waker. The Void Waker will be about the same as a whip, but with a powerful melee spec, making it feel a little bit like a VLS. If you don't know, VLS absolutely smacks. There are also going to be a couple of changes to the drop rates of the wilderness weapons themselves from the Rev Caves. Each weapon will be 1.5 times more common in general, and 5 times more likely on top of that if you're on task. So that's a total of 7.5 times more likely compared to the current rates. You're going to expect to see a lot more wilderness weapons coming into the game. First, let's talk about general changes to the bosses. There are going to be multi-combat and single combat variants of each of the new bosses, and they're each going to have their own cave located somewhere in the wilderness. The multi-combat versions of the bosses will be located somewhere between level 30 and level 40 wilderness, and the single way combat ones will be somewhere just below level 30 wilderness. You're going to be able to peek the entrances to each cave to see how many players are inside, and a PK will probably use this to scout you out and prepare for fight. Once you enter the boss lair, you have to follow the one-way system that's been put in place. As you go in, you're not going to be able to leave the same way that you came in. Instead, there will be an exit from the lair which will take you to the multi-combat escape caves. The multi-combat escape caves will have 4 exits as far as I'm aware, and these will take you to somewhere on the main surface of Runescape. The singles versions of the bosses will have reduced loot and chance at getting the new uniques, but they'll have the same chance at getting the pets or the wilderness rings. The new bosses will have combat achievements as well, so expect to see some spicy mechanics in there, but you can complete the combat achievements at either variant of the boss. The multi-combat variants of the bosses will be open to irons with an MVP loot style, making it feel a little bit like Nex. Every player will get some loot, but if you do more damage, then you're going to have a higher chance of getting the unique if it rolls for that kill. Entry fee to the caves will be 50k, but earning yourself MVP at the multi-combat bosses will reduce your next fee by 10k if you're unlucky enough to die to a PKer. The Dragon Pickaxe will also now be obtainable from Volcanic Mine and also from Calphite Queen with a rate of 1 in 400. Okay, so what about the bosses themselves? Well, they've all been completely overhauled, meaning their defenses are probably going to be a lot lower than what they are now, and their attacks are probably going to be a lot more manageable. Callisto will have a charge attack, probably similar to Nightmare's Naruto run, which cannot be prayed against. Players can freeze Callisto, but he's immune to magic damage, so you're just going to be wasting DPS if you do that. He also gets a bit spicy at lower HP. Venenatis is going to be able to spawn spiderlings, a bit similar to Sarachnis at the moment, but these ones will drain your prayer and increase her power if left alive. Venenatis will attack with mage and range and try to retreat from players if they get close. Probably going to see the use of crossbow here. Vertion will be getting a makeover, but if you have the pet, you can actually morph him back into the old style if you like. His attacks will probably be melee based, but with some lightning attacks thrown in the mix. If his shields are raised, you want to stop attacking, because otherwise he's going to end up deflecting those right back at you. We'll be seeing the return of his Hellhounds, which probably means Salve Amulet is going to be the play here. He retains his orange enraged phase, but this time it's got a lower defense at the price of increased attack and faster attacks. The Scepter is the only weapon that's seeing major changes to the base version of the weapon. It's being changed from having 100% accuracy and 25% damage bonus to a 50% accuracy and 50% damage bonus. Long story short, it's just going to become more powerful because everybody knows that mage accuracy doesn't mean anything at all in this game, and it's all about the magic damage. You're going to be able to have massive giga barrages when you're on task, which is probably going to see it used quite a lot in the Slayer caves. It's also being given a built-in attack similar to the Tridents, which means it's probably going to take over as the new best in slot at Crazy Archaeologist and Scorpia. If that wasn't enough, it can also auto-cast Ancients and standard spellbooks. This includes all the god spells such as Flames of Zamorak or Claws of Guthix. Could see some really cool use for pures. Basically, this staff is going to absolutely wreck even without any upgrades. It's an extra 2 DPS over Sang in max gear, and it's going to be best in slot for PvP with massive barrages and autocast even when brewed down. The staff is going to be able to be upgraded with the Accursed Skull, which is a rare drop from Vet'ion. I'm going to need 85 crafted to do this, or 500k to give to a guy at Ferox. It gives the staff a special attack with a 1.5 times multiplier on hit, which reduces the target's magic and defense, but this is going to be pretty minor. It's all about the max hit. It's going to feel a little bit like a budget volatile staff as far as I'm aware. The upgraded version of the staff looks pretty good, but it probably only has PvP use, so won't see that much use. Also, is it going to be better than a Toxic Staff, because Toxic Staff has a Venom and a pretty powerful melee attack, whereas the Accursed Staff does not. Could basically fill the gap as a budget volatile nightmare staff, or a pretty good PvP weapon in its own right. All in all, it's a really good update for the Thamur Scepter, because right now it's not used at all in the game, so the price of this bad boy is only going to go up for now. Next up we have the Webweaver Bow, or the Arachnid's Bow. I couldn't really figure out which name it was correctly given as. It's an upgrade for the Crossbow using a rare drop from Venatis. It gives the Crossbow a special attack with 4 rapid hits. Think basically Dragon Claw spec, but ranged version. It's going to be even faster than Dragon Claws as far as I'm aware, because the Crossbow has only a 3-tick weapon speed compared to the 4-tick weapon speed of Dragon Claws. This thing is going to be absolutely insane. The spec only costs 50%, which means you're going to get basically 2 Dragon Claw specs at range, which can then be stacked up with a heavy hit and melee weapon. I'm looking forward to seeing so many PvP and PK and videos about this weapon. Outside the Wilderness is going to be slightly better DPS than an MSB, so could even see some use in PvP worlds around the GE. The upgrades to the bow are going to be more of a PvP thing, but they could be pretty interesting for some anti-PK and for those PVMers that want to make money on the side. Next, the Chain Mace. If you're lucky enough to kill Callisto and get the Claws of Callisto, you can combine it with the Vigorous Chain Mace to make the Ursine Chain Mace. It's got +8 melee strength to the mace and a +4 crush attack bonus. Could give you a couple of extra max hits, so it's going to be best in slot wherever you're using the mace. Has a bear down special attack which deals 20 damage over 6 seconds. Could be very useful for extra DPS in PVM. The spec is also 2 times as accurate. In general, I would expect to see quite a lot of people using the Claws of Callisto and the Ursine Chain Mace itself, because it's going to be best in slot wherever you're going to be using the Vigorous Chain Mace. Now for an exciting one, the Void Waker. This thing is going to be a bad boy. It's assembled from 3 pieces and you get 1 piece from each boss. It's tradable, requires 75 attack, 75 strength and 60 magic to equip, pretty bog standard. It's going to be about the same melee strength as a whip, but with a spec attack that hits somewhere between 50 and 150% of your max hit. It's going to be a bit like a VLS with a guaranteed hit at 50% spec. All in all, I think D picks are going to crash, but otherwise, enjoy the update guys, thanks for watching and I'll catch you later.